starting by recording, and welcome everybody to Brainstorm Brewery. I am Corbin Hosteler. I am a big dumb merfolk idiot who's gonna have to dress up in a costume. Just kidding. My name is Douglas DJ Johnson, and welcome to Brainstorm Brewery once again. This is episode
300 and something deep.
Oh boy.
363. That was a planned, seamless segue from your favorite GP buyer. I have with me Jason E. Alt, and I'm about to hear a cracking little pop top noise and then some liquid being poured.
You didn't hear that? I poured it right next to the mic.
No, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I didn't hear it either.
Everybody said my mic was super quiet last week, I think.
Yeah, I blame that on JJ.
I'll turn my gain up a little so you could you can hear me drink, I guess.
I heard that.
So what do you got, Jason?
Well, I have a beer that got canceled and then uncanceled. This is from Founders Brewery. This is called Underground Mountain Brown. Founders ran into a little bit of controversy when they were sued by an African-American employee for racial discrimination and then got cartoonish advice from their legal counsel in court. The guy was instructed by his lawyer to be like, "No, don't admit that you knew the guy was black and discriminated against him." So they were asking him, like, "Is the employee black?" And you're like, I don't see black, and there's no way to mistake." Instead of just being like, "Yeah, we screwed up." So they just, after the whole internet went after him for how cartoonish that was, they settled the lawsuit, and the employee feels whole, I guess. He got some money out of it. So
does he still work there?
No, I don't think he works anywhere because he just settled a lawsuit.
Fair enough.
Hey, well, I mean,
so your Founders makes good beer and bad decisions. So yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of companies like that. That's like products great, decisions not so much. We saw some of that from Wizards this past weekend with the MC in Richmond, but that's another discussion. After I introduce the other guest, Emetrius, I believe I pronounced that correctly.
You got that right. It's Emetrius, Emeritus, yes. Demetrius, all the above is Marcel. You know me, Marcel MTG. Well, you don't know me because I went to the Brainstorm Brewery party, and it was so few people that even knew who I was. It was fantastic. It was such the ego check that I needed. It was beautiful. But I used to podcast on this podcast before
for 4 years.
Yeah, four and a half because we spread it out. But up to like around episode 200, then I stepped away. Now 3 years later, I'm not going to come back per se, but I'll be around more often. I got some more balancing in my life schedule. When your daughter gets older, as Jason and Corbin will let you know, having a kid was the biggest blow for me, that I couldn't keep it up along with work. But
you just get like sucked up into a zone, right? And just you get put in suspend and like temporary exile for a while.
Well, yeah, and with podcasting, if I have a point of quality that I like to keep, and if I can't maintain that, then I don't feel that I should be doing anything, and that's content in general. And I just wasn't going to give it my 100%. And there's no reason for me to half-ass it. I just wouldn't be happy with the end result or anything. Nobody would. So, I mean, I stepped away and I'm gone now. And it's good because if I do anything, I'll be like brand new and fresh. And so it's not like I'll be leaning into anything too much. So I'll try something because I've been playing a lot of Arena. Arena has definitely reignited my spark.
Your Planeswalker spark?
You got it, baby. It's
yeah.
It scratches the itch well because it's the price point that I feel that I'm willing to be happy with the amount of Magic that I do play. And hopefully later, if we got some time, I'll go into how you can try to make Arena actually work for you money-wise without breaking the budget.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you used to be the resident Magic Online finance advice giver on this podcast many moons ago, and seems appropriate that you can carry that torch on into Arena for a little bit.
Yeah, Magic Online is doing great. It's quite healthy, and the tickets from MTG Trader he's buying at 0.94. The highest was 0.96 recently. That was almost back to where Magic.
Wow, 0.96.
Yeah,
that's healthy.
That is very, very healthy for Magic Online. So I was a big proponent of selling out your collection, and if you would have sold out when I told you, you would have been good, then you could have bought back in. But I was kind of just really worried about the platform of Magic Online in general. And Pioneer, honestly, was the best thing ever for Magic Online. And it's
Pioneer was the best thing to happen for Magic, period, in a long time.
Probably. It reignited a lot of people's spark. It gives a brand new format. There's a lot of reasons why it was needed. People were shitting on Frontier, and this is kind of like a Frontier now. Everyone's like, "Oh, I love Pioneer; it's the best thing ever." So it's kind of like,
well, Frontier was before its time by a pretty significant margin. I mean, Pioneer people were trying to create Pioneer from a grassroots perspective, but they were doing it much too early in an era like before we even had a significant distance of cards to distance it's from Standard. So like people were creating Pioneer in an era where like there had just been one or two rotations and it wasn't going to be noticeably different from Standard.
And Frontier didn't inform Pioneer at all. There was nothing that we gleaned from the time people were playing Frontier that even helped us in Pioneer at all, which I think is the funniest part.
But I will say this, anyone that kind of bought into Frontier, they probably did decent. You know, some of the picks that they had, unless they bought it when the Frontier was at its hype and bought it at the spike.
I mean, that was 4 years ago, so there's a lot of better places you could have put your money, Marcel.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone makes bad decisions. And if you bought Frontier cards, you know, and when they weren't at their peak, you probably did decent. You know, if you bought some staples in Frontier, those will probably be staples in Pioneer for the most part. And I
don't think that's true, because a lot of those were like fetches.
Fetches are still going to be good. I mean,
they're banned in the format, Marcel.
They're going to be good regardless. Fetches
cards haven't moved in price in like 2 years in a noticeable time, in like a noticeable percentage.
Yeah, Marcel, aren't you the guy that knows how much Scalding Tarn?
Yeah, costs? I know that Scalding Tarn's not in these mystery boosters, which is the biggest mistake they could have ever done. Oh my god, I'm so upset about that. It makes me. I get it. I get why they haven't reprinted Scalding Tarn. I understand the logic, the reasons behind it, and why it's been delayed, and the continuousness, and we could go into deep discussion about it. But nothing has frustrated me further than the fact that those fetches have not been reprinted at a point when it would have been cheaper. They were Modern Masters 3. Scalding Tarn went down to $50, and I think that was incorrect. I think all dual lands should be printed till they're about $20 to $25 at their maximum. And if they go above that, then they should get a reprinting at some point. And as long as that's the case, I think that Magic will be at a healthy point.
All right, Bernie
Magic
Sanders
is currently at a very healthy point.
Magic's always going to be healthy. I mean, and I think dual lands in particular, even though they are the chase cards, there's always going to be people that need a certain amount, and when you collect them, you need all 10, and really you need all 40.
That's not true at all.
Wait, you don't have, if you get fetch lands, you don't want all 40?
No, you can just pick a deck and play it.
No, I mean, if you want to play decks, if you want to have...
That's extravagance. That's icing on cake. That's...
I think having your land base is the base minimum.
Oh, if I need one, I need 40. I mean, that is mind-blowing logic.
No, I mean, if you should have 40 of your shock lands, you should have 40 of your fetch lands, and depending whatever format you play, you should have 40 of whatever those dual lands that are used in that format. I got 40 fast lands. You know, I think having your land base is something you buy and never sell. And then you can play your decks with whatever land base you have. I think it's a very important thing to have your land base there, because that's never a concern about,
I think your deck-making decisions are much more erratic than the regular player.
That I can agree with. Why am I even here, by the way? This is just...
I think the strategy
it's just a
good.
prelude to you two hooking up. There's so much sexual tension. You can cut it within. Like, why am I here?
Why are you here? You're a voice on my head.
You two were just sparring. Like, can we talk about how I'm enjoying this recently uncanceled dark beer that no one can say whether it's dark or not out of this handsome Brainstorm Brewery drinking glass? Because if my contribution to the podcast is just going to be doing the Patreon pitch and the ad read, I'd like to get it out of the way now so I can play Cookie Clicker while you two sword fight.
So I'm drinking a Faction IPA, a Diverge IPA. It has a good crisp, citrus notes to it. This is a local brewery out here in the Bay Area. I believe they're from Alameda. quite tasty. And I have the glass. I think I have the original version of the glass, the one before we got banned.
Oh, yeah, that's the good. Well, we went back to those actually. I emailed those people. I was like, hey, the guy that gave you. Okay, so I'll just tell the whole story. Screw it. Marcel ordered the glass I'm drinking out of now from a company that does a really good job. They use like a heat treatment. They burn the thing on there like it's on there. You'd need like a screwdriver to scratch it off, you know. So we ran out of those glasses, and then
there's an issue with the glasses.
Yeah,
if you look at it, there's a misprinting.
See, the logo kind of tapers, and Marcel's like, I don't want the logo to taper. And they're like, well, it's on a glass. And he's like, ah. So, unbeknownst to us, he was having this private feud with the company that made the glasses. And he was like, well, I don't like them. And they're like, well, that's how they look. They're on glasses. And Marcel's like, well, how would you like if every place you have a social media presence, I gave you a bad review? And then the guy's like, I will sue the fuck from you if you don't stop giving us bad reviews. And Marcel's like, you win.
No argument.
We went to another company, and if you have the what we call the bad glasses, you wash them in the dishwasher and the label peels right off. So I was like, these glasses suck. I don't want to use this company anymore. So I went back to the original company. I was like, look, can we be friends? The guy who you had a fight with doesn't... he's not on this podcast anymore, and I haven't found another company that does as good a job with the glasses as you guys do. And they're like, yeah, you're cool. So they sold us. So now the glasses that we have are the good ones again. They got that logo that's not going to come off, and it looks a little tapered, but you know, everybody's fine with that except Marcel. So
they should be able to tell me that it's going to taper and tell me what I have to do to adjust the graphics so that it comes out in a straight line. Because I've seen other people with logos.
It's not that noticeable.
It's not that. I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, is that not that bad?
I don't know why that's a hill I was willing to die on. But
I know, like, oh, whatever. But I mean, it is tapered, though. Honestly, like, if you would have told me, if you would have told me, I would have fixed it. But whatever, it is what it is. Life moves on. You got to learn to pick your battles, because if you go on every hill and try to down it, you'll be like GJ. Fighting everyone on Twitter and just being frustrated.
Can I get that as a soundbite from you and then replay it every time you mention the word Scalding Tarn?
Yes, please. I will die on that hill.
He has picked his battles, and his battle is Scalding Tarn. That's his battle.
That's it. You know, I mean, I did draw the line and say it was just a blue balls, because I thought, hey, Khans of Tarkir, they just reprinted the regular fetches. I mean, the onslaught fetches. Those got printed at a point where the prices were at a reasonable place. I think they're going to do the enemy fetches and dragons. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to wait till then to buy them. And then they didn't come. And then they never came. And when they finally came in Modern Masters, it wasn't enough. And like, I'm just saying, that frustrated me to no point.
Well, you know what's not in $75 card like Scalding Tarn? All of the cards in the Breaking Bulk spreadsheet.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time.
Breaking Bulk spreadsheet is it's a special thing that we offer to our $10 and up patrons. People that go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery.
I'm going to interrupt the Patreon pitch just to mention that Jason guessed it right for the first time.
Shut up, DJ.
Like the level.
I was
he
on a roll.
normally says 5. Sometimes he says 10. Sometimes he's like the 3850 level. Like, but like he guessed it right the first time.
Sometimes he says, "Shut the fuck up, DJ." I was on a roll, and like that's your only contribution right now.
That's all DJ does nowadays. Is just interrupt people in the middle of their roll.
Trip me up. I'm clicking cookies extra aggressively now.
I know, and then you start going, and then it's like, why do people
DJ,
just keep...
Why did you do that? Slamming on the brakes like that. You're a cock tease, sir. All right, can we try take 2?
Hey, so did these Patreon people actually pay for this Merfolk costume that Corbin's gonna be wearing?
Oh yeah.
Yep. He was to order it on Etsy this past weekend. I don't know if he actually did that. We'll find out.
Look, we may not have the most listeners out of any Magic podcast. We might not be the most successful Magic podcast or the best known, but we have one of the best Patreon bases, and our Patreon to Patreon money ratio is fantastic because I think people see the value. And,
I was gonna say we had the most sadistic fans.
Oh yeah, they're sadists for sure. You know, they want to see us eat spicy hot chips and shit fire, and they want to see Corbin drown, and you know they want to see Corbin not able to eat Buffalo Wild Wings for an entire year, all kind of stuff.
See, that's not punishment though.
Well,
it's not. It's a cleansing ritual that will help him out, but like the emotional suffering will be.
Yeah, he's gonna have to develop some actual taste.
You're not wrong. You know? Like you guys are really doing God's work by supporting the Patreon by stopping Corbin from eating Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, there was an article recently where somebody died there, right?
Well, I mean, it was it was the manager did something with a cleaning solution, and like some people got hospitalized, and one person died, and that was
They're like, I can't get these wing stains out of the floor. I got to mix ammonia and bleach.
Yeah. The dirt loosening power of bleach combined with the cleansing power of ammonia. What could go wrong? So yeah, the people that go to patreon.com/brainstorm brewery and give us $10 a month have access to that spreadsheet. $10 a month, that's only $2 or $2.50 an episode. That sounds very reasonable. And it is. Because if you don't make $2 an episode, having access to our picks of the week and Breaking's bulk days early before anybody else, we're going to update these as soon as we record on Monday. So you'll have that information days before everyone else. If you can't make $5 or $10 a month with early information, we're giving money away. I don't understand. You know,
what is going on here? Like, it's crazy. Like, you guys are giving up way too much money for this price point. This should be $50 a month. Why are you doing it for this $10? Like, are
we charging $50 a month or $25? What if I told you for the low price of only $9.99?
It's free. You just have to pay $19.99 in shipping and handling, but it's free.
We could break it down in 3 installments.
All right.
It's the easiest Patreon pitch ever because the Patreon will more than pay for itself. Ask anybody in our Discord that you'll have access to if you give us as little as $1, which is 20 or 25 cents an epispisode.
So while you keep going, why don't you do your other ad read that you have to do?
I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do.
All right. While Jason broods over the perfect time to inject some additional sponsorships, I am going to throw a curveball and mention that I have a Kaladesh Uncommon with technically 1 reprint, but it's a Kaladesh multicolor uncommon with 1 reprint.
Multicolor?
Yep, it's a hot commodity recently.
Renegade Rallier?
Nope.
Is it the
I believe
red
that card
one?
is Aether Revolt. Renegade Ralliers and Rogue Refiner are Aether Revolt, I think.
Oh.
But it is not those either way. It is neither of those. This is a card I was asked for a lot at the booth this weekend. I was working at the Magic Fest Richmond / Players Championship or Mythic Championship, whatever it's called, the Pro Tour, the Pro Tour / GP / Magic Fest / Players Tour, whatever it was. There were some Pioneer side events going on, I think, and maybe there weren't Pioneer side events going on.
What's the rarity?
It's an uncommon, but this is a card I was asked for a lot. There were a lot of people looking for Frontier cards.
Well,
Pioneer cards,
there's only like one. There's one for each 2-color combination, right?
Yes.
And it's not Renegade Rallier. Is it Restoration Gearsmith?
Nope.
Cloud Blazer?
Mm-mm.
Is it the blue-green one? Is it the blue-red one? Is it the red-green one?
Think more aggressive.
Oh, Voltaic Brawler?
Nope. This is Unlicensed Disintegration.
Oh, the red-black one. Jeez.
The red-black murder, and if you have a artifact, then they take 3 damage.
With the food tokens? It could work.
No, I mean, this is just a power. It's if you have an artifact, I believe.
Yeah, you have to have an artifact.
With your food tokens in your 4-color deck.
Hey, I mean, Oko was a 4-color standard deck this weekend, too.
I mean, Oko's not going to
right
people were playing the Brawl Commander, the Corvald with Simic and food.
Everything that happened in 2019 was a mistake. Can we agree?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that, but I'm trying to learn.
All right. All right.
Oh, that's your sex robot? Jeez.
What? It's my free Google Home Mini because I would need an additional device in my home to spy on me.
This is why you don't have any of these recording devices in your house, people. Please don't do that.
Dude, we all gave away our privacy long ago. What's one more?
Oh, I give away. I see. There's a lot of things that I don't mind. That I maybe 10 years ago I would have really tripped out that I'd given away my privacy. But I would not have one of those Amazon or Google devices in my house. No terms. There's nothing that it could do. Turn on my lights. Like, I'm sorry. Nope. If I could keep it offline, and I could isolate. If I could isolate it and keep it in the house and still use the smart things without it connecting to the web, then I'd use it. They don't allow you to do that.
I am actively plotting against Jeff Bezos. I don't need an Amazon device in my house. Getting back to him, letting him know the exact time that the torch-wielding mob is going to show up at his mansion and be like, hey, stop trying to fuck up the elections in Seattle, you rich dick. So, you know what? I think I will try to keep my plottings a secret from Bezos until it's too late.
Yeah,
is it
Bezos
or
especially.
Bezos?
Whatever. Amazon especially. Why would you have an Alexa of all things in your house? I mean, Google is its own little going to be as the Skynet. So that's its own little thing going on. But Google is actually useful. It gives you some, some stuff back. But Amazon, they're just trying to sell you shit. Why would you have that in your house? Please do better than that.
I got both, man. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
All I do every day, Marcel, I wake up and I tell Alexa to buy me 4 Scalding Tarns. That's what I do. That's my morning ritual.
But I mean, this question, like, what?
That's Amazon prices. Those are probably like $120 on Amazon.
Yeah, he's got that Tarn money.
You should never buy on Amazon without checking somewhere else, because there's some things on Amazon that is way overpriced compared to other store locations. So if you buy something blind on Amazon, you're doing it wrong. You got to price check Amazon every time. Sometimes Amazon's good, sometimes they're not. But if you don't price check, then you're going to be the fool. You know what you don't usually need to price check is when you're selling things to our sponsor, Channel Fireball.
Yeah, Channel Fireball.
Channel Fireball
is a website.
They buy and sell Magic cards. They are one of the best places to buy and sell Magic cards. There's a couple places. Okay, so in Magic Fest Richmond, there were basically 2 booths that knocked everyone else out of the water. It was our booth, 95 MTG, and Channel Fireball's booth. Those are the only 2 booths I sell Magic cards to nowadays anymore. I sold a giant chunk of Magic cards to Channel this weekend. I sold a giant chunk of Magic cards to our own company, and I got really, really good numbers. Do you want to get $10 on your tireless trackers? Because that's what Channel is paying this weekend.
What? That's like retail.
Do you want to pay 45s on Stoneforges? Or some other good numbers, like 50s on Verdant Catacombs, stuff like that. Those are the numbers.
This isn't even the ad they told us to read. This is just DJ being legit. 45 on Stoneforge?
For the World Wake one, yep.
Wow. I'm shipping those. I'm trying to get 50 on Twitter sales.
I got 22s on Colligan's Command a piece.
So it's too late for the thing that happened Monday, which was the Veterans Day sale. We get 10% off site-wide with the coupon code VETERAN. But hey, there is time, if you listen to this before November 14th, for the 7% kickback sale. The coupon code is AUTUMN7. And also, on November 17th, there's a $10 off your next purchase. The coupon code is $10. So there's all kind of stuff going on Channel Fireball this week. And, we would tell you that even if we didn't have to, but we do. We have to tell you that. Is that another IPA, Marcel? Nice.
Oh, I forgot. I've actually got Channel's hot list for the weekend right in front of me. 10 on Spell Queller, 10 on Summoner's Pact.
Jeez, really? 10 on Spell Queller?
Yep. All the Pioneer stuff super hot this past weekend.
That's not like I'm trying to sell stuff for like a couple dollars more than that on Twitter sales, and it's not going. So, yeah, maybe I'll just ship the stuff to Channel. Those are good numbers. And we don't have to say that. I want to emphasize that DJ is not authorized to do the ad read.
We keep getting sidetracked. We keep getting sidetracked, as is the custom for this podcast. But
aren't we
I believe
balls
we're in the
deep
middle
in
of
breaking?
Hold on. Let the bus driver come. I'm back in the house. Speaking
right.
of Pioneer, I got one for you guys.
All right.
It's a Pioneer card. It's a land.
I mean, you have to give us the set, Marcel.
Dude, I'll give you the format.
I'll give you. Hold on. It's
a land printed between 2013 and now.
It's a red land. It's a red land.
Is it the desert?
There's no such thing as a. There's no such thing as a red land, Marcel. They're all colorless.
Is it the desert?
Yes, it is the desert. And what is that card, Jason?
I don't know. It's the desert.
It's It's Ramen Up Ruins.
Ramen Up Ruins?
Running up ruins, yes indeed.
Running up?
Did you use running up?
You're running up the ruins right here, baby. But yeah, this card, you'll see it in mono red decks. Mono red is going to be a thing. There's a discussion. Mike Flores is having a discussion. You saw it today about people including 4 Running Up Ruins in their deck, and if that's actually the right thing because the life lost isn't going to be too much. Castle Embereth is another excellent card in these red decks, but the combination between those two is going to be figured out, and as Pioneer develops, that card is going to become more of a thing. If you're playing a red deck wins, that may be your only non-basic plan that you'll be playing. So Pickles out of bulk, because after things have rotated, people have forgot about this card. It really wasn't doing much.
Oh yeah, this is a card that got banned in Standard, so I mean, people just threw them in the garbage. People just left them into their bulk set. This is a card that was out of bulk chaff because it was a very, very powerful card in Ramen Up Red and Standard. It got banned. It was one of the 18 other cards in that format to get banned, and so people threw them in the garbage and or back into their true bulk
boxes. I bought
boxes.
so many cheap Ferocidons from upset people too because I knew it would be good later. And then it got unbanned and didn't matter.
It got unbanned like a month before it rotated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ramen Up Ruins, if you didn't know, is over $2 retail right now. This is just a card that it is effectively a 0 loss of EV to put it in your mono red deck because it is just a little bit of extra reach in the end game, a little bit of extra kick to do those final points of damage.
Not a 0 loss. That life can be significant.
I said effectively. I didn't say strictly better, which is one of the biggest circle jerk points in the entire Magic community. I said effectively.
Yes, I get you. All right. You pass. Go on.
All right, what do you got, Jason?
I have... What set is this from? I thought I knew it was Kaladesh, but then you were telling me Renegade Rallier wasn't Kaladesh, so now I was like, maybe I don't know the symbols. This is Kaladesh, and it is a rare artifact, but it is a bulk rare artifact.
Bulk rare Kaladesh.
Kaladesh
got so. I mean, Kaladesh got so many artifacts. That's very.
Bolker from Kaladesh. Oh, Bomat Courier.
It is not Bomat Courier. I pick EDH cards. I don't give a shit about Pioneer. You got other people on this podcast if you care about Pioneer. This is an EDH card. I will tell you it's predicated on Corvold, if that helps.
What does Corvold do?
It's
Corvold's
the Jund sacrifice one.
Whenever you sacrifice something, you draw a card and put a 1/1 counter on Corvold. And one of those modes matters. This could end up being a Pioneer card if the Hardened Scales decks take off. I'll tell you that.
Oh, one of those 3 artifacts yes.
One of the modules, animation module. This is a Corvold staple, and I think this could get there in Pioneer. Maybe not, but it's still a bulk rare, and it shouldn't be.
Which one does that do?
Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are placed on a permanent you control, you pay 1. If you do, you create a servo, and then you can pay 3 and tap it. Choose a counter on target permanent. Give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. Which I don't know. In fact, maybe who knows.
Corvold is probably the single commander that I had the lowest expectations of going in because I thought just Alayla and Chulane were miles ahead of everything else. Yeah. And then I just got destroyed by my friend's Corvold deck. He did squandered resources things with Splendid Reclamation and was just diddling himself for 20 minutes. Then I just got one shot, even though I had Teferi's Protection to save me for a turn. So
you crack a fetch land, you draw a card and put a counter on your commander. It's nuts.
Hey, so what do you feel about Brawl? I played that on Arena. I love it, except I'm not the biggest fan of Planeswalkers as commanders, honestly, but other people like them enough that I don't think it's going to go away. What do you think?
Brawl sort of displaced Oathbreaker, which I thought was a better format. I liked having access to the spell. I got real excited about Oathbreaker, and if I did play Brawl, I'd probably play Saheeli, and it probably wouldn't be that good. So I don't like the card pool.
It's definitely more of an arena format than a paper format, I think.
Yeah. Because
Well,
it
I
just
do
makes
think
me
it is a
hang on to. It makes me buy for $1 or $2 or $3 a bunch of standard cards are going to be 10 cents. So it's like you just by playing Brawl in paper, you're lighting money on fire.
Yeah,
and
it is
EDH it's
certainly
the opposite.
It's certainly not like a financial. There's no financial reason to play Brawl. There's no financial there's no reason to buy cards specifically for Brawl. I think the format was designed so that you are using cards
Out of your trade binder,
out of your out of your collection to play Brawl and not just like go out and hunt down singleton stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons that Arena lends itself to that format better, because you just have a lot less control over what comes into your collection, and you can spend cards, you can spend wild cards to generate cards easier in that game.
Have either of you two played it on Arena?
I have not played it on Arena, but I basically use Arena exclusively for Limited.
What about you, Jason?
No, I haven't played it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, there was a banning in Brawl, which is Oko. I mean, that card
It
is
was a stupid card. It was no reason to play against it. You know, invalidating the other person's commander as, you know, it was a creature commander. It was stupid. It was not a card to have as there. But I mean, also the Royal Scions, goodness, that card is stupid at 3, and then as a commander, like that high loyalty is just absurd, in my opinion.
So I mean, speaking of Oko, one minor little thing I wanted to bring up from this weekend too was that there was a card that was noticeably absent from both ours and Channel's hot list, and that was Oko. Nobody in the room wanted to touch that card, and it was a very, very hard card to sell this weekend, which, even though the card took up, I think it was like 70% of the entire metagame or something ridiculous. Maybe it was 70% of the day 2 metagame. I don't know. There was some stat where 70% was named regarding either the GP or the Pro Tour, but that was just obviously buying away the best card in the format. Everybody knew that going in, everybody knew that coming out, but this is a card that none of the vendors wanted to touch. And I did think it was a little funny that there were some people with an outcry on Reddit about how vendors know that card's going to get banned. But I mean, like, everybody knows that card. That's like it's like another Hokak situation, right? Where it's like the writing's already on the wall, the blood is dripping down. It's like, I know just as much as you do, man. Like, that card's hard to sell. I didn't sell any Okos this weekend because everybody who was coming into the Mythic Championship had their copies. And anybody who was going to play in the main event for the GP, which is basically like 20 people, either wanted to A, play a different deck, or B, already had their copies.
Yep.
So, like, that was we had them in the case for lower than TCG low. No one wanted to touch them. Some people bought the full art ones because we had them so aggressively priced. But, like, not having a card on our hot list does not mean that we have insider information. It means that, like, everybody knows the card's getting banned.
So the big question, though, is if they're going to do the gymnastics to not ban Oko. If they get rid of the 2 1-drops that provide the fast mana and, you know, Once Upon a Time, it's possible that Oko wouldn't be as busted.
I think it's more brand damaging to ban, like, 3 or 4 cards from your set than the one namesake overpowered card.
But what if those cards going to get banned anyway? Because the fast acceleration is really detrimental to the rest of the format, especially and Once Upon a Time.
Like Goose and this anti-jury, like,
no,
I think
you don't have to ban this.
Ban Oko and then like
you ban Goose, Agorio Brazier, and Once Upon a Time. Those 3 cards.
Arboreal Grazer?
Yes. Arboreal Grazer, Goose, and Once Upon a Time, because it's the fast mana that causes a turn 2 Oko, which causes the problem. If he was turn 3, he wouldn't be nearly as bad. He might. Yes, Arboreal Grazer. I'm serious.
I can't take you seriously.
Once Upon a Time, and I mean,
no, you don't understand. I can't take the rest of the things you say seriously when you say they need to ban Arboreal Grazer.
If you like Z, if you listen to Z, he talks about this. He's saying that you should do this somewhere in that range, along with banning the London Mulligan rule within constructed. He thinks it's finest and limited, and I agree with this stance wholeheartedly. The London Mulligan creates the situation where people are creating these optimal plays, and it takes away the variance, a lot of the deck constructions gets used to optimize the ability to throw these hands away. And
yeah, if you mold a land Goose Oko, you can still probably win the game fairly handily. It's kind of annoying.
So if you go down to 6 and you got your optimum hand, it doesn't matter if you got that card disadvantage. If you got 7 and you don't have the optimum hand, then that extra card advantage that you have really doesn't matter. So it kind of, and Once Upon a Time is the same thing. Is this another free spell that's broken that people is just a matter of time. People don't realize how bad it is. It's kind of like Gataxian Pro. It's like, oh, this is so innocent. Why are you going to ban this card? But honestly, that's part of the problem. And Oko may be okay as a 3-drop, but as a 2-drop, that's where he's busted. That's my opinion. I mean, if you had to do something, otherwise you're going to do Oko and then Once Upon a Time, they're going to have to do the 2 of those banned. Oko's not going to get banned by himself.
Maybe you don't print Once Upon a Time because it's a better blue spell than any blue spell ever printed. What the fuck were they thinking? Honestly,
I mean, it's a nice card. It looks nice. Like, I thought it would be good, but regardless of whatever you thought it was going to be wrong because it's a free spell. You know, like I had hopes for Once Upon a Time when I first saw it. I didn't want to think it was broken. I was like, it can't be broken. And the jury is in already. Like, you see it.
All right.
It's going to be that card.
I mean, we've spent, I think, at least 30% of this past 4 weeks podcasts relatively unhappy about the state of design in 2019. So I don't want to beat a dead horse too much or beat a dead elk too much. But
I agree with you. Yeah, you're right. And move on past that. But the problem's going to be with that is Oko's going to get banned, but there's going to be other problem cards. You got Emberblade, which is a fucking disgusting card.
Embercleave,
whatever. Fires of Invention, which is another really disgusting card. And then you got some other players that are there within the set that are pretty powerful. So, like, I think Aaron, he was talking about what do people feel about, the band structure and where it's at. And I think we're at the point in Magic where we're going to have to start being used to more bans often because the cards are constantly getting pushed. And we don't want to have another, what was the set that we had that was really horrible?
Battle for Zendikar.
Kaladesh was the
one with the pirates.
Recent, great design sin in terms of like power level being compared to Urza block. But I mean,
you're talking Ixalan block was fine. That was a fine time to play standard.
Like, Ixalan was very, very low power level. I really don't want to belabor this whole point too much.
Well, I get you. So the point is, Magic is you're gonna have to get used to bans, and I think that the entire state of Magic where it is better to have broken cards and then banning them than to have a safer Magic and then cards that are worthless. So
yeah, but they're just like, oh, this can impact standard, and then it either rotates out or we ban it, and then they ruin every other format forever. Like Mystic Sanctuary is not even good in standard, where they're like, oh, this will be fine in standard, and the Mystic Sanctuary is just like degenerate in every other format. It's not every other format, but you get what I mean. It's like Dumb and Pauper and EDH, and like we're stuck with that forever. They're not going to ban stuff out of those formats as easily, so it's like they're not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But one thing I did want to get into before we close out the book for this week is mystery boosters, because this is an anomaly in that nobody knew what this was going in.
Yeah, Gavin wouldn't even tell us. He wouldn't even laugh at me or DJ because one of us is going to eat a spicy gummy bear, or both of us potentially, on the podcast next week when we have a mystery guest.
So what was the bet? I don't get this. I missed it.
But DJ thought that the mystery boosters would be commander themed, and I thought that would be pioneer themed or not strictly commander, which is a very broad way to say it. And it's possible that since these mystery boosters are not strictly pioneer, we could both have to eat the gummy bear. It's possible for both of us to lose this bet. So we'll see what our mystery guest next week thinks.
It depends on what kind of lawyery definition you use in terms of both of our calls, because like in my opinion, any set where the best cards are Mana Crypt, Bloom Tender, Expropriate, Teferi's Protection, Selvala, Sakashima, Reese the Redeemed, and Demonic Tutor is quite the commander set. But
Bloom Tender especially. Bloom Tender speaks volumes.
Yes, but for those who don't know, the mystery product has over 1,000 cards and less than 2,000. I believe the final number was roughly 1,600, and that is not including the test print cards that fill a 1 per booster slot. So if you've ever seen any of Wizards employee post like wacky old test print cards that they use while designing sets, they made those full spirited in terms of a limited format design. So they're sort of like a cross between Unstable or Unhinged and Future Sight cards, where a lot of them play with design space that could be used in the future. Some of them are just wacky, but they are legal and limited so that you can draft with them, you can play them in limited.
And
some people are
some
obviously
of them are just dumb puns like Slivnivet.
Yeah, some people are going to play them as their commanders, even if there's no official legality, just like some people play Unstable commanders still.
They are fantastic.
A lot of them are
they were the card I was most interested of when I saw the mystery packs. Even though you think financially they're not going to be that valuable. Is that what your feelings are?
Yeah, so this entire weekend was very much a old school Wild West of like constantly checking eBay complete listings for things, constantly trying to scout out the room and seeing what vendors are paying on what, how much people are paying for packs, what the expected sale value of the mystery stuff is, because this is definitely a product where a lot is getting injected into the market at once, and there's going to be a very, very quick race to the bottom to see who can maximize their profits in the shortest amount of time. I think the funniest moment for me all weekend was we were watching, our booth was directly across from a side event table, and so they were doing a very big mystery booster sealed. This is, I think it was Friday afternoon after the whole first event thing, and they said, okay, how many of you are dropping from this event? And just a third of the players raised their hand because they just wanted to take their packs, leave, sell them on eBay, or sell them to a vendor or something like that, and just make their little bit of money. So that was funny to watch. But I mean, I noticed that vendors were paying $15 at the start of the weekend for the mystery boosters a piece, which meant that you could pay your X dollars for the sealed event or whatever, drop, and then get your $90 from your packs. And some vendors were paying $5 a piece on the mystery cards or the test print cards. We were paying $5 a piece on the test print cards at first, which we slowly lowered to $3 and then $1, and then we were paying certain numbers and higher ones, seeing if they'd sell, trying to get them in the case as soon as possible. But if you are going to a Magic Fest or were at Richmond, my advice for you is to sell all of those immediately, because it is confirmed that these are in every convention next year and throughout this year.
So how these packs work is basically you think of it as every slot in the pack has its own sheet. So basically there's a bunch of different lists. A lot of the stuff is rare and mythic, and there's several slots, and then you have a list of stuff. Some of it's EDH good stuff, some of it's stuff for other formats. It's just stuff that needed.
Well, yeah, every pack is very specifically cultivated to have it fill certain checkboxes. So there's always, I believe it's one or two, there's always one of each color card, there's always a multicolor card, there's always an artifact, there's always a old border card that's pre M15, there's always a post M15 card. There's always
you could have two rares in the pack. The old card could be a rare, and then your post M15 could be a rare.
And these cards are using just very random printing, so it's like the dual deck Demonic Tutor, because that's an uncommon slot, so it's not the Ultimate Masters Demonic Tutors.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
It's like weird, the Demonic Tutors, it's good. A lot of this stuff needed a reprinting, and it was a good way to do it, but I think it means that basically any hope of the Commander decks getting reprint equity is basically gone.
What do you mean?
Well, they haven't really reprinted a card at more than like $6 in the Commander deck for the last 2 years, and people are like, they're going to get the message, but no, they're not going to have to do that. The Commander decks, basically, the days of buying them for value, unless there's an insane new card, like something better than Dockside Extortionist, the decks aren't worth a buy from a financial standpoint, and you're basically
only buying
if it. I don't know, because I think it was a good venue to reprint $25 cards before they got to $50.
Yeah, but I mean, now that people and the play style, the people that are buying into Commander decks, if they're more available to everyone and they're more of a low-key type of way of evolving into Magic, do you think that having people chasing after them would be better, maybe if you have more of a spread.
If all 4 decks are good, then it doesn't matter that all 4 decks have a $25 card, and a $25 card in those decks would be super 100% fine. I'm not saying they need Bloom Tender, but I'm saying like Training Grounds would be fine. So I don't know why they're not doing that, and I think it's because they think they don't have to. Because like Commander 2018, they're like, oh, it'll be better, and then it wasn't, and then it's still sold a ton anyway. So they're like, oh, all right. As much as everyone complained on Reddit, Commander 2018 sold better than any Commander set ever. So they're like, all right, screw it. We're not going to listen to these idiots. And then Commander 2019 sold well. So
to me, honestly, the cards they include into these Commander decks is indicated to me that they're very aware of the secondary market.
I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to you.
No, it's not a surprise. Publicly they won't admit it, but the way that
they absolutely admit it. They say that they don't do anything with respect to the secondary market, but like they literally can't not. They have to know how much cards go for.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a thing for 15 to 20 years or so. They make expected value considerations when they design products, when they decide what gets put at rare, what gets put at mythic. They know exactly how to tweak the formulas to such that, like, the expected value from a booster pack will always be a certain amount. They don't just roll the dice when picking, like, which $20 cards go in packs. When designing master sets, they know exactly what they're doing when considering the secondary market. Wizards has never said we don't know what the secondary market is, or that we don't take advantage of it, or that we don't take it into consideration. The thing with Wizards' the secondary market is that they can't publicly acknowledge
card prices.
That they publicly can't, because that gets into gambling laws. That gets in, like, you don't want them to publicly acknowledge card prices. You don't want that. Trust me.
Yes, you want to keep them ignorant, and they're aware of it. So that lets you know that what they're doing when they do the reprints, they're managing it very carefully because they know their reprint equity. So if you see a slot of certain cards like Scalding Tarn not being reprinted, you can say, hey, you know what? They may be managing their equity a little more conservatively than they need to. And they might need to let the floodgates open. But that's a different
now in
story.
that product, because as a caveat to saying, hey, the EDH deck should have this stuff, I've always said they're finding new ways, whether it's the Ixalan board game that reprinted a bunch of EDH stuff that needed a reprint, or it's some other venue. They'll find a way, and this Mystery Booster is the 2019 way to reprint a bunch of cards that really needed it.
Yeah, I do have one very, very large complaint about this set, though, because, like, from a number of reprints point, it's good. There's a lot of cards in here that needed reprints. There's a lot of cards in here that didn't need reprints, but that's a minor complaint compared to
if it's predicated on building a draft format around it. Unfortunately, there's no way around reprinting some cards that probably didn't need it.
Well, I mean, like, Collective Brutality certainly didn't need, like, Kova against Command.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did. Well, anyway,
but no. Okay, no. So the big complaint about the set is the physical, actual cards and how they feel is very, very close to Chinese counterfeits.
Are you serious?
Oh. Yeah.
Yes. So, like, it's especially noticeable on the old border cards. Like, a lot of the newer border stuff is very, very hard to tell. Collective Brutality, you can't even tell unless you notice the small little symbol on the bottom left. Because when I first saw my coworker open these packs, he was opening them on the Thursday event and showing everybody pictures. And I wasn't on site yet. I thought, these are going to be really, really hard to tell between the original set card and the actual card itself from the mystery packs. Because the only difference is just this tiny little Planeswalker symbol in the bottom left corner. So, like, the Kolaghan's Command still has the Dragons of Tarkir set symbol, and it still has the hollow stamp. It's virtually identical, except for a tiny little hollow stamp in the bottom left. And I thought that was going to be the deal breaker in terms of making this set very, very hard to sort. But the old border cards specifically, and, like, the things from, like, Meddling Mage and things like Defense of the Heart and Enchanted Evening and Aura Shards, they feel the printing is just very, very, very off. And you can just immediately, it just looks like a counterfeit when you look at it.
They're, like, shinier. It's weird.
They're very dark, too. Like, the Torment of Hailfire is super dark.
Yeah.
Hey, but hold up. Let me take this time not to shit on Wizards for printing old bordered cards in the modern world. Thank you. I appreciate you doing this. I would love to see some foils with the old border style, but
You will not say thank you if you hold one of these cards in your hand. They feel awful.
I don't care. They did old border. They took the chance. They printed it. No, I'm sorry. I'll give you.
You
fucked
can be
up, at least
glad
you
that
could-
they reprinted card, but like the execution could have been better. Like
It could have been. So next time, do it better. Yeah. But let me just give you some kudos. I don't want you to shit on you for everything. That's obviously a big mistake. But in the future you can improve on it. But thank you for printing old borders.
if
Love
my
old
daughter
borders.
gives me like a relaxing acupuncture session, and she's like, "I found these needles in an alley," like you can't be like, "Wow, she gave me acupuncture. What a great kid."
But it's the intention, right? You got to say you could be mad at the execution.
I have a new type of
But her-
hepatitis.
But her
Like
intention
I'm
was
not going to say,
she
"Oh,
was like,
her intent is the only thing that matters." If I have hepatitis F and they've never heard of it and there's no cure, like, and I'm
Yeah,
bleeding out of
but
my
she-
anus. Oh,
but
thanks.
she-
Your intentions were great, and now my anus is bleeding.
Yeah, but she
This
was
set
thinking
is a
she was going to
logistical
save that.
nightmare. Like, I
Oh my
can't wait
God.
for all the messages from customers like, oh, I ordered this Recruiter the Guard, but your employee has sent me the one with the tiny, tiny microscopic stamp on it that's slightly different set, and now all mine don't match. Like, gigantic logistical nightmare keeping all of the set symbols the same and keeping the card virtually identical.
So the other big thing was there's going to be 121 foil cards, right? I believe that's going to be in the packs.
There are different convention center boosters. There are different LGS boosters for this product.
Yeah, so
The convention center boosters have the test prints, and the LGS boosters have undescribed foils so far. They're a cultivated list of foils that is so far unconfirmed.
But the only thing we know is they are not foils of any card that's currently in this set. So anything that's outside of there is fair game, which is quite a bit. But you could expect, due to what they're reprinting in the set, you can see a similar distribution of some good cards and then some shitty cards. But so what do you think about this compared to the test cards and the LGS cards having these foils? Who's going to have more open? Obviously, maybe the conventions, but then there's a lot of LGS in general. Where do you think is going to be the greater distribution?
The conventions.
By how much, like percentage-wise?
I mean, I don't know which will have more cards, but I can tell you which specialty product or which unique item in those versions will drop harder, and the test prints will more than likely drop harder than whatever foils are in the packs. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. But is that because they're foils offhand, or just because you think there'll be?
Just because the test prints are garbage in every other format. Like they're like conspiracies, and the majority of them you cannot use, and most players who want them will get their hands on them early and be happy to overpay. It's like the first time they've printed like Animar or Prosh in foil, and if you look at that foil graph, you see it's like, oh, it's at $100 when Masters 25 comes out, and then it just plummets and evens out to like a low 30 or whatever because everybody who had theirs, like who needed theirs, got theirs. It's like the test print. Everybody who needed their Sliv Mizzet's going to be happy to pay the $40 or $50 for it, and then 9 months down the road, nobody's going to care about it.
Yeah,
There's going to be so many.
So do you think that's biased due to the way that your buy price was at $5 and eventually reached $1 for most cards, or do you think that's just?
That's not biased. That's just the way the market works.
Yep.
I mean, that's at the time. Do you think that's going to be long term?
I don't think people have a concept of the fact that these are going to be available for a really long time.
Okay, fair enough. And there you go. You got the Brainstorm Brewery official finance position, the finance cartel telling you exactly what you need to know about this amazing format. And Pioneer's an amazing format. EDH is an amazing format. Standard, we got hopes for you one day.
Yeah, I mean, like, the mystery boosters are sweet in terms of, like, there are cards in it that needed a reprint, but there are, number one, there are cards in it that need a reprint. Number two, there are cards in it that did not need a reprint, like Aetherflux Reservoir.
Yep. Got blown out on that.
Or like Nissa Voice of Zendikar. I'm glad Thought Vessel got hit, but it needed a foil specifically. Path to Exile didn't really need another reprint.
Yes, it does. It always needs a reprint. I'm sorry, that's a staple.
I would love Path of Exile to be a $5 card. Love it.
It should stay a $5 card. A $4 to $5 card is where Path Exile should be, and be reprinted until it's always a $4 to $5 card.
Word of Invention didn't need a reprint yet.
It will eventually. The card is busted.
Right, but I'm saying it didn't need it yet.
But maybe they're reprinting cards in anticipation of them potentially going up.
They're trying to build a draft format.
Yeah,
it's a 1,800 card draft format.
It's fantastic. I'm sorry. This is a great product for the people that is reaching. It's people that really, if you want to do Chaos Draft, this is the best Chaos Draft, because the problem with Chaos Draft is a lot of cards are parasitic to other cards within the format. So they're not nearly as good unless they got other cards to support it. This one gives you a whole variety. So actually, when you pick from these packs, you get a true variety so that there's not nearly as parasitic of mechanics. So the cards actually probably play more of a cohesive type of Chaos Draft. And so in my opinion, there's people that will hate this product and they'll never like it. It's never meant for them. But the people that want it, this is probably the best thing you could have done. And they did it well. Like Gavin even said, and he'll talk about it probably when you see him at some point in the future, that
whenever that is,
that he was trying to hit many different avenues on this. This set was meant to hit many different things at the same time. And I think this was meant to be an EDH set. This was meant to be a Pioneer set. You know, this was meant to do a casual thing, a reprint needs. And
I
also
they
here,
said they specifically said they didn't design this set for Pioneer.
they didn't design it for Pioneer, but it addressed some of the needs that they had to deal with the Pioneer.
As like a side benefit that wasn't intended. Yes.
I mean, yeah, possibly. Yeah. I mean, but at the same time,
possibly, like they stated that.
Okay, but regardless, all right, they didn't do it. They didn't design to do so. But some of the cards that they're going to reprint will affect Pioneer and actually benefit Pioneer due to the fact that they're being reprinted. And then we'll see, whatever. But in the future, they will address. This is not going to be a one-up set. You're going to see other ways that they're going to do reprints. This is one way they get a whole bunch of reprints at one time, like 1,600. Who would have ever guessed? Well, it's actually 1,700, 1,694, which is closer to 1,700 than 1,600. So that's quite a bit. You never had a reprint this big. So thank you, Wizards. You're addressing some of the needs. People say some cards that need to be reprinted, regardless of whatever. The cards got reprinted. Thank you. But I have another question as far as an MTG Finance. This is actually a big one that I don't think many talk about. SCG is dropping Legacy. You don't think so?
Legacy's just been slowly phased out for so long. Like the few people who are playing it will find a way to play it just like the vintage players do, and it's whatever. Okay,
so do you know exactly how many Legacy events they cut from each season?
Did they cut? They have 0?
It was like 1 or 2 per.
Yeah, they
per,
cut
like,
from 2
every
to 0.
4 months.
Yeah.
So like a Legacy used to be a weekly event, like in 2011, and then they cut it back, and then they cut it back again.
Yep.
And now we're at the point where it's like 1 or 2 events per season, and they're like, let's drop those last 2, and everyone lost their minds for some reason.
So I'm sorry,
but
regardless,
going from 52 to 2 wasn't
event.
a big deal, but going from 2 to 0 is a huge deal.
It's still the end of it. So this is a financial
and then
event.
they up their buy
regardless. Regardless, this is a financial event, right?
And then
the SCG is no longer doing Legacy, regardless of whatever where the state of Legacy is. This is a financial event. They say they're increasing the price of duels, but not increasing their sales price. So, what is this maneuvering? What do you think this could possibly be? What does this say for people that are in Legacy staples?
Legacy will stay the same as it has been for the past 2 years.
So you think it's going to be a plateau? There's going to be no gains? Is it going to be slight gains? Is it going to be slight
now's still a fine time to buy duels because they're just very, very cheap compared to what they were last year. But I mean
if you look at what Ben Blyway said about it, he's like, EDH demand is, giving us another demand avenue for duels, and we're not really worried about that.
Yeah, like they're still going to sell dual lands for, number 1, Legacy players who already bought them for Legacy, and number 2, Commander players who are happy to pay like the extra premium. They're happy to pay the extra 40% for Star City's prices because they know the card's not going to be fake when they get it in the mail. And like life will go on, and they'll replace the Legacy events with Pioneer events, and then Star City will continue to make a lot of money. Like, I think that people overblow this announcement way out of proportion. I understand why I understand why it's being asked, but like, if you look at the number of events that they're actually cutting, I think it's like very plain to see that it's not a big deal.
It's not necessarily a huge deal, but at the same time, it is a statement. And in terms of this Magic in general, this is like saying Legacy is dead.
It's not saying Legacy is dead,
Except for a micro. If you have a local group that if you have a
also like the entire continent of Europe, like Legacy's still doing great.
Old school's doing fantastic, right?
Yeah, here. Like all old school Legacy is still insanely popular over in Europe. And online, like Legacy is still super, super cheap and affordable online. You can get duels for like $10-$20, right?
But 6 years ago, wasn't Legacy All-Star City? That's where the lifeblood was at. And like back when we had, what was the green-white deck? That was the shit.
6 years ago was 2013. I don't think none of the Reliquary has been playable in that format since like 2008, unfortunately.
Anyway, so this is an event, regardless of however you view it. But Legacy, the cards are old. They're always going to hold value for the most part. They're collector's items. The duels are going to hold value, so whatever.
A lot of reserve list stuff is really cheap like now, like super, super, super cheap.
Because it's slingshotted because everything like went up like on principle from crypto summer, and now the reserve list stuff tanked because like you were getting $75 for replenish, and now it's like half that. Like a lot of stuff halved, and a lot of stuff that looked like it was going to go. What's that?
No, you're good. I was random data point of us selling replenish in the case for like 34 this weekend.
So what dipped from crypto summer? Because I know that inflated a lot of prices. So what is normalized after that?
Everything. Literally every reserve list card is like probably half or less than half of what it was.
Because even the stuff that crypto people didn't buy, everyone's like, well, everything on the reserve list is going up, so let's go buy Catacomb Dragon.
So the Trader Fool just like really prevailed that year, is what you're saying.
No, the Greater Fool ended up with paying $75 on replenish. Yeah,
I was gonna say the Greater Fool paid $700 for a HP Underground C and aided.
Prevail meaning, the Greater Fool in essence never prevails, so that was kind of.
Yeah, we don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, well, that's fantastic. I'm glad that things have normalized. So duels are at the price where they're at. So you think duels will probably be stabilized then at this point?
I think now's a good time to buy duels.
Yep.
If you need them for Commander, 100%. If you need them for Legacy, get them now. Like, I don't know whether they go up or stay the same for a few months, but like, I think they're cheap enough that there's very low risk of them going down further. And there's nothing after that. That's just the end of that statement.
So what kind of duels? Do you think it should go into unlimited duels, or should they get the FBB duels, or where should?
Revised are the easiest to move. People will always want them because they're playable. Like they're the cheapest versions, the cheapest English version. Don't get foreign white border because they're just get regular old HP or moderately played or lightly played or near mint, whatever condition you prefer. Revised duels. Beta duels are fine if you want old school stuff, but like. Unlimited are very, very, very hard to move just because they're that awkward point of not super high end and not the good old HP Commander person plays it. Like Unlimited is very hard to move. Just get regular duels. They're not my pick of the week, but just get duels.
Well, there you go. Well, this sounds like the end of the episode. I have some arena information for people. We'll have to do it another episode or some other little segment.
We didn't do pick of the week yet.
Jesus, Marcel, you're rusty as fuck. You think you just come up in here after skipping 200 episodes and?
Yep, that's how we do. So pick of the week. Let's do it. It's pick of the week.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcel. The podcaster Ametrius can go first on pick of the week.
I was literally letting you go first.
I insist.
My pick of the week would be better at the end.
Okay, fine. Mine is Eldritch Evolution. I had to pick a different one because the one I picked was the one DJ also picked, which like never happens. I was asking DJ, hey, can you look on the spreadsheet that's available to our $10 and up patrons? Can you look on the spreadsheet and see if anybody's picked this card recently? He's like, that's my pick of the week this week. So I audibled to Eldritch Evolution, which is predicated on the same deck as that other card, Corvald. Corvald's the number one deck built on EDH Rec this week. It's in the Brawl decks. Corvald's very good. It's dumb. It's like a better Prosh somehow because Prosh is really broken. But Eldritch Evolution is, it's potentially a card for other formats. And it's like $4 right now, and I think that's too cheap. So go ahead and buy Dam's Evolutions.
I do like this card, and I think I wholeheartedly support your endorsement. Thank you very much, Jason. Y'all.
Nice. My endorsement got an endorsement. That's like double endorsements. We did it.
Yeah, go.
My pick of the week is Sidisi Undead Vizier. This is a casual card that used to sell for a lot more. Now it's just inexplicably dropped for some reason. I also think Dragons of Turkey sealed product is a decent bet just because it's got some Frontier or Pioneer stuff. I'm just going to keep saying the word Frontier, and it's going to keep happening. It's got some decent Pioneer stuff like Kolaghan's Command, even with the reprint, but Sidisi has slowly trickled down, and we had it in the case for like $7 sale price this weekend, and I just thought, I remember seeing that card on our buy list for like $7 6 months ago, so that is a card that has narrowly avoided reprints for the past year or two, and it's just something easy to get into. It is a card they could put in the Commander product, but they tend to avoid specific tutors like that. They tend to not put just very powerful tutoring effects in the Commander precons, so I think it's safe from that getting hit in 2020. Sidisi.
Sidisi is a nice card, so I again agree with your endorsement. Thank you, DJ. I appreciate you suggesting that card.
I appreciate your suggestion of my endorsement of your appreciation.
So
I co-signed that card because that was my pick until I had Audible. So
we all win. Thank you. So Corbin loses this pick of the week. You can look on the spreadsheet. There's going to be no improvement from anybody else but us. But I'm going to say a card that I'm sure the other two co-hosts here don't agree with. I'm going to say Love Struck Beast. Right now it looks like it's 75 cents. And I think this card is very good. It's a definite house and standard. I'm sorry. 3 mana for a 5/5. All you need is a 1/1 to play, but it has this adventure. This card is almost as good or within the same realm as Bone Crusher Giant. Bone Crusher Giant is about a $2 card. I think that card is going to be primed to go up as well. Once Oko gets banned, it's going to put a Oko and whatever additional cards that are related to Oko, whatever's going to get banned on the 18th, there's going to be a release. Embercleave is going to be one of the busted cards in the format, so cards that support Embercleave are good. I think are going to go up. Bone Crusher Giant, I think could go up a little bit at $2. I think it's not going to go a whole lot. I think the ceiling that you have to look at is Murderous Rioter, which is currently at about $7. And I think that card is, really good for what it is. That's the ceiling of what you can see out of the Adventure card. Adventure is a very solid deck. Lovestruck Beast feeds into Adventure very well, and it also holds Embercleave very well. So at 75 cents, I think this is a card that will be about $3. So buying in at that price, you'll double up possibly. But I want to throw a bonus. I think Realm Cloak Giant, which is at $3, is cheap. If you want to play with this card, this is a sweeper along with some bonus. Summer Veil is holding down a lot of control decks, but if that ever does get banned,
it did. It got banned today.
But not, in Pioneer, right? But I'm talking about it in Standard. I think there's a blue-white deck that is pretty powerful. They were talking about it, as a contender after the post-ban. Realm Cloak Giant is a very significant card within that deck, especially after Kyra's Wrath rotates next year. So at $3, I think this card is a good price to buy in.
You did it.
I am not going to argue that for the sake of my own blood pressure. All right, everybody. This has been another chaotic, hectic, and seamlessly segued episode of Brainstorm Brewery. We'd like to once again thank our sponsors, Channel Fireball and Corbin's medical records. Those are going to sponsor us soon because he will be squeaky clean from his B-dubs fast soon. We got some really cool stuff coming out that we're going to announce at the end of the month about the Patreon. You all hit the Merfolk costume goal, and he was supposed to buy that costume this past weekend while he was working at Richmond. We will find out later tonight if he actually did that. We got a lot of cool stuff coming.
I'm gonna go with no.
I'm gonna do that too, but we'll see. We have some spicy chip bets coming up. We have a guest coming up. It's going to be really great. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up with the patron. Marcel, do you want to plug anything before you head out?
Yeah, I like to plug my Patreon, which is brainstormbrewery.com. You can subscribe there and just pay them, and I will give $0, but I will show it to the party.
Don't correct him.
I mean, technically, if you go to brainstormbrewery.com, there is a link on there directly to our Patreon.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to...
Yeah, you just made an ass out of yourself in front of the guest.
See, you assumed. You made an ass out of you and me.
Jeez.
Just trying to save our listeners clicks. That's EV right there.
They already turned this off. Anybody who was listening is like, "Yep, I've had enough." The music has slowly gotten louder over the last 90 seconds.
Yep.
It's drowning us out. That's good. That's good. This is what we needed.
Oh, fantastic then. All right, let's go. I'm in. So then I can talk.
No, go. Don't let me talk over you, guest.
No. Redo that. I was not trying to interrupt you. JJ, just cut all this shit out.
No, this is good radio. Leave it in. His instincts are still to talk first. I'm glad Corbin's
Me
not
first.
here. We would have you both trying to drive the bus. That's no good. Yeah, go ahead, Marcel.